1, 2, and community support is just unbelievable. We had some unbelievable crowds that were there, especially Friday, Saturday for the Class 1 and Class 3 boys. The Principia run, Josh Spool, the job that he did with that group was just absolutely unbelievable. And, Dacia Scott's going to be a terrific player for the next 2 years. But Josh has just got a great nucleus, and I'm not going to be surprised if they don't make it back. They're probably going to get a bump to Class 3, but still they can compete in the Class 3 side of things. Now, obviously, you've got Bear Grove, El Dorado Springs, and some of those other schools. But I think on the boys' side, Jadis Jones from down at New Madrid County Central. He is the player of the year in the state of Missouri. This young man is as talented of a basketball player that I've seen in an awfully long time. I put him right up there with Bradley Beal, with Tatum. I mean, he is that good. He does so many things the right way. And just watching New Madrid just go about their business, on Friday and Saturday this past week to win the Class 3 state championship. But it's just great to see those communities come out and support the kids, and that's what it's all about. I mean, I'm not gonna mince words. I was disappointed in the student contingent from Vianney and from DeSmet that were out in Columbia yesterday. You got two teams that haven't made it there in 11 years, and you're not getting the student support. Now, yes, I understand Jeff City is 30 minutes away. Yes, I understand they basically jailbroke everybody out of school and brought 23 buses up to Mizzou Arena. But I expected some bigger crowds, student-wise, for the games yesterday.
Yeah, I'm with you. Calling games at CBC this year, I got to tell you, the student attendance just for the local games at the local high schools, and I know CBC a little bit of a down year under new head coach Sam Briscoe, but I didn't see, usually at those MCC games, not only is the visiting student, the home student section packed almost every game, but the visiting student section, and I don't know what it was about this year, no home or visiting student section was packed for any game that I worked there this year. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, it was a little weird, a little surreal. But then, you look at, the crowd that Vianney had for the quarterfinal game against Weissman. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm gonna say this. I think Misha and the Coaches Association are going to have a good hard look, because there were some sites that weren't big enough to host sectional and quarterfinal games. There were some sites that had no right hosting those types of games. So I got a feeling that the Coaches Association are going to have to maybe walk back and look at going back to the neutral sites for basketball, for sectional and quarters. Because there were, and I'm just not talking here in the same area, there were some sites out on the western side of the state and down in Springfield that, could not handle the projected capacity that wanted to attend those games, and they had to cap out ticket sales and all that. So I'm going to be really interested to see how the Coaches Association and their advisory board and Misha tackled this problem, because it got into a very big issue over the last couple of weeks, especially when you talk about New Madrid County going to play Kingston at Kingston. Kingston, I've been in their gym.
Yeah.
It's an old school gym. It is, but it's a bandbox. So they moved that game twice to where it finally ended up at Park Hill Central. Then you had some other, games down in the Boot Hill get moved around. So my gut tells me they're going to readdress that. They're going to have to, because if they don't, we're going to see some issues and maybe some bigger issues moving forward over the next couple of years.
Jim Powers joining us here. We're talking end of high school Missouri winter sports weekend this weekend, basketball at Mizzou Arena. Speaking of that Class 5, and we're going to jump around a little bit, but Jeff City wins in overtime over Parkview. Then a close game against Vianney. Meanwhile, DeSmet has kind of been cruising a tough one against Fort Zumwalt South, but kind of cruised over Winnetonka. What do you see in that matchup tonight? Jeff City and DeSmet for the state championship of Class 5.
If DeSmet shoots the way they've been shooting as of late, there is nobody that's going to stop them.
Yeah.
Duff comes out of the gate, scores I think 12 of their first 17 points yesterday. They're just playing so doggone well right now. And they're tough to defend. Now, the downfall for Vianney yesterday, and I love this team. I think this is a great group, but they lived too much by the three, and they died by the three yesterday. They just couldn't get a bucket to fall with about 3 minutes left in the third quarter to about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter when Jeff City throws a 17-2 run at them and gets an 11-point lead. But then, to Vianney's credit, they ratcheted up the defense. They got 3 straight steals and then points off turnovers, and able to get a 2-point lead. But I think they ran out of gas. But Jeff City is good. Now, what people need to understand, they have a sub-500 record. They had to forfeit 13 games in the middle of the year because of an illegal player that got fouled. Okay?
Yeah.
So this Jeff City team is way better than what their record is, and they shot lights out of yesterday. And I think this is a fun matchup, but if the DeSmet comes out knocking down shots like they did yesterday, I think they're going to put it in cruise control and get their first basketball championship in an awfully long time.
Hey, Class 4. How interesting is Class 4? You've got the Final Four getting set to tip, tomorrow, right? And that's Burroughs and Logan Rogersville. I don't know anything about Logan Rogersville. I don't know how much you know. I know you've been probably doing prep, so you know way more. That's why I have you on, buddy. That's because I know you know all about these teams. Vashon and Central. And I know those in St. Louis are really, really rooting for a Burroughs-Vashon final.
And it could happen. I mean, Vashon is Vashon.
Right.
They just win, okay?
And by the way, they've been winning big.
Yeah. I mean, Tony won't say it, but I think this is one of his most complete teams.
Yeah.
When I say that, he's had some great players, but I think this group is a complete team. And they're going to take care of Central. Central's got a great guard play. I just don't think they could hang tempo-wise with what Vashon's going to go at them. Now, this Burroughs-Logan Rogersville's game is going to get interesting. Pee Wee's done a terrific job with this Burroughs program he's taken over a couple years ago. They've got some really good kids. I love how they defend. And that's where this game may be one of those games first to 40 wins. Because these two teams love to play defense. Logan Rogersville's got a nice post player. I think he's averaging 15, 16, and 9.
Mm-hmm.
And Burroughs is going to have to contend with that. But I think, going into the weekend, I think that may be the best game. But, unfortunately, Vashon is just, they're hitting it on all cylinders right now. And I don't know if there's, put it this way, I'm putting them in with Incarnate Word right now because I'm just not sure who could stay within 30 points of either one of those two.
Yeah, I definitely want to get to the girls' side too. We definitely need to talk girls basketball here in just a second, but let's go to boys Class 6. That one is you've got Cardinal Ritter, who just annihilated Eureka. They play tomorrow against Central Springfield, and then Chaminade gets Oak Park. How do you see that bracket shaping out? And again, the St. Louis fans are rooting for that Ritter-Chaminade matchup.
Yes, but let's bring everybody back to reality a little bit.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm hoping for that matchup too. Will it surprise me, though, if for the first time in an awfully long time we don't see a Class 6 representative in that championship game? Will not surprise me.
Wow.
Oak Park is terrific.
Yeah.
I had a chance to see them at the Norm Stewart Classic, and they have just gotten better since that point. They love to get it and go. And they've got such a dynamic mix. They get great guard play, but they've got their forwards and their posts are just really, really fundamentally sound. And it's going to be an extremely tough matchup for Chaminade. And I honestly believe Chaminade's a year away. I didn't expect them to get here. I thought they needed one more year with those young kids, but the young kids at the end of the season have shown up and shown out. And it's been great to watch. It's been great to see. But they are going to run into perennial buzzsaw from the western part of the state. Now you drop down to the bottom side. Ritter has played a national schedule, and they've played some great teams, and they've taken some lumps this year.
Mm-hmm.
But Ryan Johnson just does such a nice job coaching them. But they're going to play another really talented team out of Springfield Central. This team is a team that's very patient offensively. They're going to limit Ritter possessions because that's what they do. They want to keep the game in the 50. They want to make sure that they don't let an offense get going in tempo, get up and down the court, and do the things that, a Cardinal Ritter team likes to do. So it's going to be two really interesting matchups. I'm hoping that we can get both Ritter and Chaminade into the Saturday night game. But once again, I'm not going to be 100% surprised if neither one of them win, and we have, for the first time in, like I said, an awfully, awfully long time, we don't have a representative in the Class 6 championship.
Wow, that was, I mean, I can't even remember a year when we didn't have a St. Louis representative in that championship game. And I know it's happened. I know it's happened. I just can't remember. Let's shift gears. Jim Powers joining us here this morning. We're talking state basketball championships at Mizzou Arena this week. You can watch all the action on Mission TV. Jim, Central Park and Lift for Life Class 4 girls. How about Lift for Life? The overtime victory over Chillicothe. Talk a little bit about this matchup. They got pushed. And, Lift for Life, Polk is tremendous. They've got a really, really good group. But Park Hill Central just does what Park Hill Central does. They just smother you defensively. They grind you out. They do things that just make you uncomfortable. Now they're going to play a team that's going to look to go tempo. They're going to play a Lift for Life team that they want to run. They want to get it and go and get down the court. And this is where Park Hill Central is going to struggle because they're not built to get up and down the court in a high-speed tempo game. They're more of a patient 5-7 passes. We look for the post. We try and get a back screen. And they'll defend you. They'll defend you awfully well with their press and in their half court. But they're not built to get into a running game. And that's what Lift for Life is going to do. Lift for Life should win. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to watch that game tonight at 8 o'clock. But I really believe Lift for Life is going to get another state championship. That's awesome. The 4 o'clock game tonight is Burroughs and Lutheran St. Charles in Class 5. And these are two teams. I've seen Burroughs play a couple of times. I've not seen Lutheran St. Charles, but I've read about them. This is going to be a fantastic state championship game. Yeah, and these two teams played earlier this year. Yeah. Burroughs won. Burroughs has been the only team within the state of Missouri to play within 10 points of Incarnate Word. Yeah. Not once. That's right. Not twice. 3 times. 3 times, yep. They had Incarnate on the ropes in all 3 games. Allie Turner's going to Gonzaga. And there's a reason why she's going out west to play high-level D1, because she's one of the best girls players in the area. Mm-hmm. She has been right there in the top 5 over the last 4 years in her career. She is that good. She is that talented. You look at the supporting members with this Burroughs team. You look at Witherspoon. You look at, what they bring to the table. And then you look over, you got Jordan Spicer, who's just had a terrific year. It's been up and down for her this year because she's been hurt a little bit.
But this is going to be a tremendous matchup. I think the biggest question that everybody has, including myself, is what in the world is Jacob York going to wear today? Because if anybody saw the game yesterday, he looked like he raided Craig Sager's closet.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And so my comment was, really? And he goes, wait till tomorrow.
Oh, I love that.
So,
hey, man.
But no, Jacob's done a great job. Aaron, up at Lutheran St. Charles, I mean, has done a terrific job. I mean, you got to look at it. You're looking at the last two, state champions in class 4. Now they both moved up to 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to be appointment viewing for me this afternoon. I'm going to be here in the friendly confines of the South City office, and I'll be on my reclining chair watching the 3 games tonight because they're going to be that good.
Yeah. And let's not forget Class 6. I know it's the Incarnate Word Invitational and has been for, I don't know, how many years now. But I want to talk a little bit. I've seen Corey Azu play a couple of times. And I got to be honest, I'm surprised they're here. Corey Azu, Kickapoo, Incarnate Word, and Rockbridge. Now, usually an Incarnate Word Rockbridge battle is usually a good one. I've seen that already this year. And I do feel like, this is Incarnate Words to win. But let's talk a little about what's Corey Azu done over the last month to get to this point.
Well, number one, Jen Steinway, who is the interim coach, has done a terrific job. I mean, what Jen has done is, stabilize the program, and she's letting the kids do what they do best. And that's where they've gotten here. Now, once again, their path to get here wasn't the toughest, so to say.
Okay.
It wasn't as tough as Kickapoo, definitely wasn't as tough as Rockbridge. But Winehouse is just a terrific player. I watched them, and they handed Ursula a loss earlier this year, and I watched that game. And when they get going, they're really, really good. But they are going to really have a battle on their hands this weekend. First off, you're going to pick a team that is really every year. And I know they're so tired of the Incarnate Word Express, so to say, because they get caught up in that.
Yeah.
But Kickapoo is solid. Rockbridge, I've had a chance to see them play, and Jill Nagel, year in and year out, she just coaches those kids so extremely well. They've got the youngest Porter daughter going to school there, and she's really good.
Yep.
So there's some interesting storylines, but the bottom line is, it's Incarnate's to lose. Now, if anybody took some blueprints and watched some film on what to do against Incarnate, I'm sure everybody has been blowing up Jacob York's phone trying to get those 3 game films, okay? And, once again, there is a blueprint, but the blueprint is you got to figure out a way to stop Cappy. You've got to figure out a way to start Sextro on the inside. Then you got to go inside out. I mean, they've just got so many weapons. It's hard to figure out a way to stop just 1 or 2.
Yeah, I got caught up watching the Big Ten Women's Championship game on Sunday, and I was watching mainly, obviously, Caitlin Clark, but really enjoyed being able to watch Natalie Potts play from Incarnate Word, who is at Nebraska and had a fantastic freshman year, freshman of the year in the Big Ten Conference. Incarnate Word,
he deserved it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Incarnate Word just, look, you look at these coaches in these programs in that Final Four, and it's very reputable coaches, very reputable programs. And by the way, the other thing, I was thinking of this today too. I try to do public address as much as I can for that Webster Groves High School Winter Challenge for the girls on the girls' side. And looking at Incarnate Word, Rockbridge, Coriezu, Burroughs, all were in that tournament. And I always say to everybody, that Webster tournament's one of the best in the area. And then I look at the end of the year and I'm like, it really is, because you had all of these teams battling against each other in that tournament. So, yeah, I mean, what a fantastic Final Four there in Class 6.
Oh, without a doubt. But, you know, and I'm, you know what? I'm going to say this because I'm tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing people saying, well, Incarnate recruits. When you win 132 straight games, you won 6 straight championships, you don't have to recruit. The kids want to come play for you.
Exactly.
Let's stop the stupid. And this is coming from coaches.
I know.
And it drives me insane when I'm hearing that.
And Jim, let's be honest, and I will never, ever throw out names, but let's be honest. The public schools do a little recruiting. Let's not act like they don't. And so, you know what I mean? Like, I get the whole, like in football, I get the private schools, they get a lot of the players from the area, and that takes a lot of kids out of certain school districts. And I sort of get that angst a little bit more because there's so many players on a football team. But when you're talking basketball, come on, man, everybody does a little bit of that. And I'm not, you know it, I know it. And so, the complaining on that is, come on, we're above that. We should be above that.
It's the most ludicrous thing that I've ever heard. And, you know, and I see coaches going on Twitter saying this stuff. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to go back to the old statement. If you can't beat them, get better.
Yeah.
Get better. And, you know, and once again, I'm going to get off my soapbox now because this could be another whole show topic.
Yeah. And I'd be there with you, buddy.
You know, but no, I think you know we've had a terrific you know winter sports season this year. Great way to cap it off this weekend. And honestly, when you look at it, you're probably going to have St. Louis representation. And once again, I'm hoping that we see it in the Class 6 boys. But yeah, we'll have somebody in every classification playing in 4, 5, and 6 this weekend playing in a championship game. And I hope that's what happens.
All right. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you your opinion on something. So the last several years, because of my role at SIUE, calling SIUE women's basketball and doing high school girls basketball for the number of years I've done it. You've been in this way longer than me. But is it just me, or are more people interested in the women's college basketball tournament than the men's college basketball tournament this year?
I think the landscape has changed. And I want to preface this and say, I'm just not talking women's basketball. I think this is going to be, without a doubt, the most watched women's basketball tournament in forever, okay? What Caitlin Clark has done to raise the level. With what Dawn Staley, who, say what you want about her, I think she is one of the classiest coaches on the Division I level, and she once again proved it Sunday after that 3-ring circuit.
Yes,
that
agreed.
Took place in the SEC championship. You saw her go one way, and then Kim Mulkey go a complete opposite direction, which was not good for the game. But I think this year they're going to crush every record imaginable. I mean, you've seen the numbers whenever Caitlin Clark and I was played. I mean, and I tuned in to watch it because I love watching women's. I love watching women's sports.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that those numbers are going to just continue to get better and better and better. We're seeing it in all sports across the board. You're seeing numbers, and I'll use girls wrestling here in the state of Missouri. They went from 700 young ladies in the first year. They're over 2,500 girls wrestling in the state of Missouri this year. Wow. They're going to go to 2 classes next year and they're going to go standalone at some point with the girls wrestling championship.
Wow.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
But,
I feel like girls and women's hockey has also gotten bigger.
Yeah,
I know volleyball in the last 10 years, you and I think have talked about this before. Volleyball over the last 10 years has gotten huge on the girls and women's side. It's an industry now. Like St. Louis hosts huge tournaments with 50, 60 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is. And look, I know Caitlin Clark is responsible. And I just have to say, though, as I've gotten older and as I've watched more girls sports and more women's sports, especially basketball, and look, I get it. The basketball junkies will all tell you, well, it's just not as athletic and it's not as fun. They don't run up and down the floor. There's no dunks, blah, blah, blah. I feel like women's basketball is the truer form of how the sport was created and developed. I think there's better coaching. I think there's better the offensive and defensive plays and schemes that are run are better and stronger, and there's more of them. I just have really grown to enjoy the women's game a lot. And yes, Caitlin Clark has I'll watch that NCAA tournament, but it's been building to Caitlin Clark for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And once again, there's a reason why I coached girls basketball for as long as I did back in Ohio.
Yeah.
And then came out of retirement this past winter to help Ben Elick over at Lutheran South. Girls want to be coached. Sometimes you get guys that don't want to be coached. They just want to do it their own way.
Yeah.
Girls want to be coached. They want to learn the fundamentals. They want to do things the right way. And that's where the girls' game, there's no doubt. Okay, fine. But guess what? Go watch an Incarnate Word play defense against Kings full court.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incarnate Word can beat some Division III colleges.
I think they could. You're right.
With the way they go about their business, okay? No, this is basketball in the purest form, and that's why it's incredible to watch. It's incredible to be a part of, and that's the great thing about it.
Yeah, all right. I'm way late for a break, and I know I got to let you go, but did you get a chance at all this year to watch Grace Beyer over at UHSP in NAIA?
Yes.
And
she's as legit as it comes.
Oh, I know. So I talked about it last week and talked about how, Caitlin Clark's getting all the accolades. I get it. D1, Power 5.
Yeah.
You're playing against the best women's competition in the world. I get it. But I did want to highlight Grace Beyer, and I kind of talked about her last week and the amount of points she scored. And I got to tell you, I am mad at myself for not taking time to go watch her play live. I hear she's incredible.
She's really good and really talented, and what she did. And I'm, I know people have thrown out, well, look at who they played. I don't care who they played. You put up that many points, you're doing something right.
And Jim, I read it, the last article. I know Stu Durando did a couple pieces on her, and I read one of the articles that said she did get approached to go higher levels and was not interested because she liked the small. Well, first of all, she loved her degree discipline in the school she was at for her degree.
Her father's a pharmacist.
Yeah, exactly.
And she grew in love with it, and that's why, College of Pharmacy is a perfect fit for her because she's getting the best of both worlds. She's going to get a terrific career in something that she loves, and she got to play basketball and set the national scoring record.
Right. And what's funny is I've talked to D1 coaches that I know that have seen her video, and they're like, she averaged 34, 35 a game. And yes, the competition wasn't great, but that translates to 15, 16, 17 a game at a D1 school. And she would have had an unbelievable career there too. So for people to say, oh, who'd they play? A scorer is a scorer, Jim. She can score.
You get to the basket. I don't care how you get to the basket. You get to the basket. You know how to shoot the proper way. I don't care if you shoot it from the parking lot or 5 doors down. You're still going to knock down shots. And that's what she does. And she's just so incredibly talented. It was a lot of fun to follow her career over the last 4 years.
All right, Jim. Thank you, buddy. Jim Powers joining us this morning, talking a little high school hoops. And thank you for calling in, Jim. I'm way late for a break. I got to take one, but we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Jim. All right. That's Jim Powers joining us, talking state high school hoops. And we're going to now take a way, way late break, and we'll be right back to talk NFL free agency right after this.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6922 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchatas and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open Tuesday through Sunday. El Potro, 6922 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland. Find them online at elpotrostl.com.
At Fernandez Law, we represent people who have been hurt by the negligence or wrongful acts of others. We provide professional and compassionate representation to the Hispanic community in their native language. We know it can be overwhelming and frightening to deal with police, insurance companies, and doctors. We can help you, whether you have been the victim of a reckless driver, hurt by a defective product, or suffered a catastrophic injury or death in your family. We serve Missouri and Illinois and will fight for you and your family. Fernandez Law, 314-621-1252, 314-621-1252, or find us on the web at gonzalofernandez.com. The choice
It
of a
feels
lawyer
good
is an
when we
important
make the
decision.
right decisions, like when you choose the perfect song for a special moment, or when you choose a good night's rest after a hectic day. It's good as making the right choice on insurance. And that's why Steve Martinez is a State Farm agent and is right here in St. Louis to help you choose the protection that you want at a price that you want. Steve will explain everything about your coverage with State Farm so that you know what to expect if the unexpected happens. With Steve Martinez, it's easy to make the right decision. Call him today at 636-227-7888. That's 636-227-7888. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Back in the mole hole, this is Randy Moman. No sport garners the storylines, discussions, soap opera-ness like the NFL. It really, I mean, the NFL's done. The season's over, and yet it dominates national sports talk. It is, you know, everyone says baseball's America's pastime. America's pastime. Maybe. Football is America's game. Everybody loves football. I mean, look, I've said it 1,000 times. I can go sit at the ballpark and enjoy a night at the baseball game. And that is one of my favorite things to do, is sit at the ballpark and watch baseball for 3.5 hours. I don't care how long it is. I've talked about this ad nauseum. Give me more action in the games. Don't tell me the games are too long. Football games last 3.5, 3:45. No one complains about how long a football game takes because there's constant action. For me, though, still, walking into a baseball park, the smells, the sounds, the green grass, summertime. Come on, there's nothing much beats that. Except football Sunday. Football Sunday. I've gotten to the point in my life. I know I'm going to work a Mizzou game on a Saturday, and I'm like, tomorrow, I got nothing to do. And I'm just going to sit in front of my NFL Red Zone and watch NFL football. Now, I consume it differently. I don't watch a ton of baseball on TV anymore. I watch a lot of it. I love watching baseball at the ballpark. but I don't sit in front of the TV and watch baseball like I used to. When I was a kid, Cardinals were on once a week? And hopefully if they got on the game of the week on the national network, it was like the Cardinals are on NBC this week. But, then they had a deal with KPLR where they showed, 40, 50 games. But now you can watch a baseball game every night. And the pace of that game, for me, anymore, is not conducive to TV for me anymore. And by the way, I don't watch football games, one game start to finish, unless it's the playoffs anymore either. I watch it differently now because of what we have available to us from a streaming and channel perspective. I watch the Red Zone, so I watch every game. And it's the best. But I don't also sit for 3.5 hours and watch one regular season NFL like the Packers and Vikings. No, I don't either anymore. So there's still nothing better than attending a baseball game for me because it's relaxing. It's just therapeutic. I love it.
Do you get the same feeling going to a football game as you do a baseball game? No,
because I'm more hyped for football. Unless it's a baseball playoff game, then we're hyped, right? Cardinal playoff baseball is the best. But no, like for a football game, you go and you're anticipating it's going to be more energy. You're more on the edge of your seat. I could sit back with my legs crossed and an adult beverage in my hand for 2.5 of those 3 hours of that baseball game and love every second of it. It's just a different experience. America's pastime is baseball, but America's sport is football. It is. The college football rankings are through the roof. The new playoff next year is going to be insane in terms of viewership and ratings. NFL football rules the TV sports landscape in terms of ratings. So my point to all that is a long way to say, even NFL free agency, when there's no games, dominates sports talk. And I watched and listened, like, who's going where? We don't even have a team here anymore. So how about some of the let's dive into that for a second. All right. First off, Russell Wilson to the Steelers. I love that move for both sides. Pittsburgh had made the playoffs with subpar quarterback play, Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. And they have weapons galore. They just traded Deontay Johnson, but Pickens, the tight end Freiermuth, two great running backs. They now brought an offensive coordinator in that has a very good reputation. So now they have a better offensive coordinator. The offensive line should be better. Their defense is always good. And they signed Patrick Queen from Baltimore. So the Steelers are going to be good. They were good enough to make the playoffs, win 10 games with bad quarterbacks. And now they get Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is not what he was 3-4 years ago. But he is good, still good enough to lead a team that has weapons and a good offensive system. The Steelers got better. The problem is, I'm going to say this for every AFC team that got better. The problem is the Chiefs are in the AFC. So, I mean, does that make the Steelers Super Bowl contenders? Well, they're in a division with Baltimore, who was the best regular season team last year. They're in a division with the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow will be back and healthy, and they've got weapons all over the field. They're in the same division with the Cleveland Browns, who had the best defense in football last year. So it's not like Russell Wilson to the Steelers is like, oh, that makes them a Super Bowl contender. The AFC is It is a road of one great team after another. Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, Bills. The Dolphins are pretty good. Will the Jets be good now that Aaron Rodgers is healthy? They have a great defense. They've got young weapons. The AFC is a gauntlet. So, no, I don't think this makes the Steelers Super Bowl contenders. I do think if you were 10-7 with the horrible quarterback play you had last year, you should at least be 10-7 this year with Russell Wilson. Maybe better. So, good move for both sides because Russell Wilson needs to kind of re-jumpstart his career late in the game, and the Steelers needed a competent quarterback that doesn't make mistakes. Good move. Other good move, the Falcons getting Kirk Cousins. Look, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. I heard a stat the other day that shocked me. Kirk Cousins, let's remember, has a team he has quarterbacked has won one playoff game. So the postseason hasn't been kind to Kirk Cousins or the teams he plays for. But I heard a stat the other day that shocked me. 2018, when he got to Minnesota, from 2018 to today, Kirk Cousins is in the top 3 in passing yards and quarterback rating. He's one of the top 3 quarterbacks over the last 5 seasons, 6 seasons. That surprised me. I knew he was good. Kirk Cousins is one of those guys like, let's say, like Jim Hart from the old football Cardinals. Good quarterback. Threw for a lot of yards. Threw a lot of touchdowns. Cardinals didn't do much in the playoffs. And they only made the playoffs 3 times in Jim Hart's entire career in St. Louis. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. Now, he goes to Atlanta. They have an offensive coordinator they got off of the name's escaping me, off of the Sean McVay tree from the Rams. So a good offensive coordinator, a former head coach that is making a second attempt at being a head coach, Raheem Morris. So he'll be better, hopefully, this time around. Falcons already had a decent defense. They had a top 10 draft pick running back, top 15 wide receiver, top 10 tight end. Their offensive line was graded out one of the best in the league. They didn't have a quarterback. Now they got a very solid, good veteran quarterback. And he stayed in the NFC. Smart. Stop. Why are people going to the AFC? Go to the NFC. You got a better chance to get to the Super Bowl. But the Falcons now become the favorites in the South, NFC South. Baker Mayfield re-signed with Tampa Bay. Mike Evans re-signed with Tampa Bay. The Bucs will be decent. But that makes that whole AFC South a little more interesting because it was abysmal last year. The Bucs won the division with a 9-8 record. So good move for Kirk Cousins. Good move for the Falcons. They're going to be better, and they're going to push to win that division. I really like that move. Another home run free agent signing. The Baltimore Ravens get Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, who I think he's rushed for over 9,000 yards in his career. He's only had one season where he missed a bunch of games. So he's big, he's strong, and he fits. I mean, if any running back in this league who's a big, strong power back fits the Baltimore Ravens and that culture, it's Derrick Henry. It's a perfect fit. But again, they got to beat the Chiefs. So Lamar Jackson, they added wide receiver weapons last year. Zay Flowers was a great rookie. They got an all-pro tight end. And now they add one of the greatest running backs of our generation, Derrick Henry. What a fantastic move. Now, Baltimore's defense takes a hit. They lost Patrick Queen to the Steelers. But it seems like the Ravens just restock on defense. They're always good defensively. So that's another home run move. Derrick Henry to the Ravens. Mizzou's own Drew Lock signed with the Giants. Now, Daniel Jones, he's not great. And they didn't have anyone backing him up last year. The Giants made it a point to go get a backup with some experience, and they've got Drew Lock there now. And if Daniel Jones stumbles, Drew Lock may get a shot to play for the Giants. So I'm happy for Drew Lock. That's awesome. Also, it kills me to see this. Patrick Mahomes went to the Chiefs, restructured his contract so that he's less of a cap hit so the Chiefs can go out and get better players. I'm going to have to deal with this Chiefs fan base for 10 more years, aren't I? 10 more years. I might start a calendar, the days till Patrick Mahomes retires. I am, first of all, let's call it what it is. Patrick Mahomes wants to win. Simple as that. Tom Brady did that for years, restructured his contract, took a little more guaranteed money and less contract money so that it counted less against the cap. There's a way to kind of massage that. Brady did it for years to make sure that the Patriots could still get decent players around him. And now Patrick Mahomes is following the same model. And Patrick Mahomes following the Tom Brady model? No! I don't want it. And I don't like it. I actually do like it. He is, look, I have nothing against him as an individual, and I love watching him as a player. I've said it 1,000 times. If that Chiefs team played in Carolina, I'd be a huge Panthers fan. But they're in Kansas City with an insufferable fan base, and I can't take it. But Mahomes, look, in his mind, he knows, first of all, no one's ever three-peated. So to do it this year with a chance to three-peat is smart. They can go get a big-time wide receiver, which is what they need. And all the mock drafts I've seen have the Chiefs taking this wide receiver from Texas who just set some kind of record in the 40-yard dash at the combine. Oh my God. The rich keep getting richer. So if they go get a big-time free agent wide receiver, then they add this guy in the draft with Kelsey, with Isaiah Pacheco, with Mahomes. Oh, my God. They're going to three-peat. They're going to three-peat. It's going to ruin my Super Bowl Sunday again. But I have to say, the winners, that's what they do. That's what winners do. It's what team players do. And Patrick Mahomes is a winner. He's a team player. And he, in his mind, he's like, look, and by the way, you know he makes millions and millions in endorsements. He's on TV every 5 seconds on a different commercial. So, you know, the money, he's making money on the endorsements. He can massage his salary enough to help his team win. And that's what, again, that's what winners do. Can I get 1 year without the Chiefs and without the Rams in the Super Bowl? 1 year. It's been like 5 or 6 years now. All right. I'm done. Sorry I was a couple minutes late today, everybody, but, you know, circumstances arose. You've been watching and listening to The Mole Hole here today. Thank you for joining. I'm Randy Molman. Until next Thursday, so long, everybody.